collapsed at the end of a weekend. I was at a board meeting on the Thursday and Friday, and a panic started. And I phoned or texted a friend of mine who's an expert in the financial markets, and I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "The financial markets are locking up. The credit is disappearing. The payment system is locking up because no bank thinks that another bank is necessarily viable." And so I thought, oh my God, I mean, it was really serious. So it was actually before Lehman that I became aware, and like everybody else, got scared. At the time Lehman went, I was back in Italy reading the newspapers, and people were wondering, yes, no, and then it went. But to be honest with you, even if they'd saved Lehman, we had a financial crisis underway. So what we did in America, and to some extent in Britain and Spain, was we damaged the household balance sheets. And if you damage the household balance sheets, then they stop consuming, right? And then the economy goes into recession and people stop investing because they don't need the capacity, and unemployment goes up. I mean, it's a very immediate transmission mechanism, and that had all happened. I mean, those houses were not worth what people paid for them, and they borrowed to do it. So all of that was going to bring the economy down. I think it's right. It's a misperception that if you just saved Lehman, you know, the whole thing would have been okay. At the start of the crisis, the central banks were really the only entities that understood it, you know, that there was something systemically wrong with the system, and moved very quickly. And they're given credit, I think, rightly, for being the main players in saving the system from complete collapse. Having said that, almost everybody else thought it was a cyclical event, you know, and we had forecast after forecast that was overly optimistic, from central banks using their models, from the IMF, you know, all over the place. And that went on for 5 or 6 years. So eventually people got the hang of it, that there's something different about a crisis like this. The vast majority of us didn't see it coming, and there's been a lot of soul searching as to why we didn't see it coming. So if you network a system and make it very difficult to see the network connections, or they're so complicated that you can't figure it out without some fancy artificial intelligence system, then you can't track, you know, the dominoes. You can't track, you know, how a shock is going to kind of bounce through the system. And the underlying issue, which is still with us, is that we don't really know how to detect when systemic risk is rising in a system. We may be a little better at it, but when a system is becoming fragile, we don't have an agreed on set of measurements and indices that tell us that's happening. And that was for sure true then, 10 years ago. I think it's still true now.